Actor Wesley Snipes didn't walk the red carpet in Ocala today, but walked into the federal courthouse. Would you believe this giant sloth roamed the land several million years ago right here in north central Florida? And this 3-ton guy was found in Newberry. Many new computers come with webcams already installed, and while you use your webcam for personal purposes, unless you remember to turn your computer off, you could be more vulnerable to outsiders who want to peek in. That's right, Amanda. This shelter, which has been operating as a special needs shelter, has been open since 10 a.m. on Thursday. But depending on how severe the storm is in our area, those shelters may close. But we'll have more details on that later on. Just a short time ago, 11,000 people filled the streets leading up to the steps of the Hippodrome Theater. Their reason? To hear Michelle Obama rally people to get out early and vote, and to do so today. It's not just the monument that's the story, but the man and the legacy of his words and his actions.
I'm the one out there in the trenches at the labor rallies and during the marches. You just saw that while a lot of people are sitting around inside their ivory towers talking.
After more than 4 decades pushing the civil rights mission, Reverend Al Sharpton hasn't lost his fire, whether addressing the issues affecting the people on the streets or the White House.
We got young black brothers in New York City. Over 72% of them been stopped and frisked by the police.
And who fought it? We did.
You fought it. But how come?
Where were the academicians? Where were the congressional
President Obama can't say a mom?
In a recent on-air debate, the Reverend, long known for his impassioned discourse, laid out the issue of the day with renowned Princeton professor Dr. Cornel West, a champion of racial justice in his own right, holding the first black president accountable, even when it means confronting divisive issues within the black community.
Even if we're not all on the same page, we all ought to be in the same book and at least have dialogue.
And behind his words, action.
It'll take more than one bullet to stop a movement.
A pioneer in fashioning a new model for civil rights and social movement, he began his National Action Network 20 years ago. He's used his megaphone to champion the causes of blacks, particularly in the inner city, even when controversial and politically toxic. But the means to the end, he holds as bearing the torch of those who first laid the groundwork.
We perfect what we learned from the tradition of King, and that is how to dramatize an issue, keep it public until somebody has to deal with it.
And dealing with difficult issues head on, when many won't, is what sets him apart from his peers in the civil rights movement.
A lot of blacks in the intellectual circles had a problem with me because of class issues. I was a college dropout wearing James Brown hairdo. He can't talk for us. I mean, all of the arrogance that they want to speak about the proletariat, but they don't want a proletariat leader.
You'd be surprised some of the phone calls that Reverend Sharpton and Nan get from people that are in ivory towers or are CEOs of corporations. They get profiled too.
Nordlinger, who manages Nan's communications, is part of the New Guard in Sharpton's social movement, helping push the agenda that reflects the communities they represent, from middle-class folks to groups often ignored.
I think the strategy in building Nan is really pulling in everybody. Pulling in gays and lesbians, pulling in women, pulling in rich, pulling in poor.
When we think about who and what are driving social movements into the future, it is more women who are at the helm.
Our executive director is a woman. The heads of 3 of our 5 regions are women. Many of our chapter leaders are women. I think it is very important that we deal with the sexism and misogyny that has been in the movement. And I've been sensitive to that.
Among them, his 24-year-old daughter, Dominique, who is at the forefront of recruiting the next generation of Nan supporters.
We have to stop allowing them to speak for us and start speaking more up for ourselves.
We are truly in the street. We have 49 chapters across this country. They are in the streets, in the trenches, working with the people.
Barely 30, Mallory is the national executive director of NAN, who sees the organization as being both on the cutting edge and accessible.
Why are the people in Akron, Ohio, that you mentioned, why are they here in National Action Network a year? Because a lady was put in jail for sending her kids to school from her father's address. And we were not too elitist to not understand that people do that every day. And I went personally in that town, and we rallied 500 people at a rally for her.
He's a doer. You know, when you need him, he's there. Growing up, watching him and seeing all of the different things he's done, let me know that he will continue to keep doing.
He's evolved from the fire-breathing, permed hair, bombastic civil rights leader with an unconventional style and leadership, to the elder statesman who speaks on behalf of a large swath of the African-American community. He has inspired fear as much as he inspires hope.
The Kelly Williams Bowler case, it brought a lot of attention in the Akron community to the fact that you have an advocate in your city who is willing to work and to fight on your behalf.
At 56, his passion no less diminished, he's still marching and rallying. And where he goes, cameras are sure to follow.
I think that people sometimes think that we're just fighting to be fighting.
But what he's fighting for now is clear. He isn't running for president. He's trying to help the current one keep the job. Undoubtedly, Sharpton's a national political force, able now to connect the president to his base.
Let's be clear. We can have people that are a lot more progressive than Barack Obama. We can have people a lot more progressive than an Al Sharpton. But they're not going to be president. The options will be him or the Republican candidate.
And his mandate for NAN is certain. And even the president has the memo.
I know this isn't the National Satisfaction Network, this is the National Action Network.
Reporting for News 1, Stacey Samuel.
It is not a way to get people to love you. It is a way to make a point.
Pastor Terry Jones of Gainesville, Florida, went from obscurity to notoriety with just one sign.
We went from putting the sign up to many emails, telephone calls, and I guess pretty much the latest is we landed pretty much on the front page of CNN.
But some would say it is infamy rather than celebrity that Jones has brought upon himself and his small church.
Using the same types of tactics as the Taliban would use with the Quran.
Neighbors from the middle-class subdivision and folks from across the county have come out with a message of their own.
The United States is based on freedom to practice religion, freedom to do so in peace.
And this seems to be true, not just for older Christians, but among young people as well. 18-year-old Taylor Wright has spent 4 days organizing his friends to spray paint signs, asking passersby to honk for peace and tolerance towards Islam.
There's one God, we all serve him, it's just how you view the story.
But Jones says his version of the story is the right one, and that real Christians, including those among the protesters, won't be offended. Many of them are Christian.
Mm-hmm.
They feel that this is a message that doesn't represent them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to them? Are they not Christians in your estimation?
They are definitely not Christians. And that is actually one of the reasons to do what we have done.
Jones says he's a part of a larger growing movement of people who feel as he does.
I believe the sign has stimulated.
But is this sign more than just a recruitment effort, but a sign of a growing sentiment, a warning of what's to come?
This tsunami was a catastrophe, a higher level. This is apocalyptic.
At Miami International Airport, Haitian Americans are still coming in 11 days after the earthquake. The scene is the same in airports across Florida. Those held captive in the shattered country show signs of exasperation and weary relief. They've all seen the hell of devastation.
It's probably a week and a half, or I don't know, 10 days later, and there's still people coming in. There's still people waiting for care.
This makeshift repatriation center is a purgatory of sorts, their first point of entry before they can return to their lives in America. Red Cross volunteers and social agency workers listen intently to their newest clients. Only a few recount what they've seen and survived.
I called him today.
First time?
Yeah.
First time?
Yes. Pas de j'aime prendre nouvelle moi-même. L'aime relé le pas ka joindre, la prélé me pas ka joindre, moi m'a prélé le pas ka joindre. Le pas ka joindre l'autre.
They kept calling each other. They couldn't find each other. Today was the first time she's spoken to her husband.
Yeah, I'm dormant dans la rue, m'a engoy moi depuis toute l'empire.
She's just been sleeping in the street. The DCF workers, military liaisons, and volunteers all wait on around-the-clock standby. Word of a plane's arrival often comes at a moment's notice.
Well, it's different. I mean, we've never done anything like this.
Many of these charter flights out of Port-au-Prince get diverted from Miami, as air traffic can only accommodate so many unscheduled flights. Just more disorder and a disaster plagued by poor communication and assistance slow to come. By now, most survivors have shed dust-laden clothes, explains a DCF manager. But clean clothes don't mask the horror of loss and trauma of what they've seen and lived through.
Perdi famille moi, perdi yon sem. Maman l'hôpital, papa l'hôpital.
Reporting from Miami, Florida, STACEY Samuel.
Hi, Amanda. Now, you are right. You couldn't be more right. There are so many fans here. In fact, would you believe that this entire thing was put together in 24 hours?
It only took moments for the oak tree to come down. Now it will take crews hours to clean up all the limbs. Reporting in Northwest Gainesville, STACEY Samuel, WCJB, TV 20 News. Cooking is the best hard work you'd love to taste.
Many of these Eastside students will go on to the Culinary Institute and become artists in their own right.
So this is it, the epicenter of the fashion world. The tents at Bryant Park.